Hello and welcome to the Culture Sharks. Today we're going to be moving forward in our Metroid Crusade as we get closer and closer to the Switch 2 launch. We get closer and closer to Metroid Prime 4. We're trying to get this done before then, so we definitely are going to be having to pick up the pace a little bit, especially now that we're kind of getting out of the short games and we're getting into the long ones. So today we're going to be talking about Metroid 4, Metroid Fusion. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Junko.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with Fusion. I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and start us off in the conversation for Fusion. Uh, I remember when I was a kid, my uncle, not my co-host uncle, but different uncle, the one who introduced me to Super Metroid. He was visiting us at one point because we were living with Nana and Papa up in Illinois, or we were all visiting. I don't know. They lived up in Illinois for a long time, um, and so on his Game Boy, he had Metroid Fusion. I didn't get to play it at that time, but obviously I knew what it was. Um, and then, I noticed some things. I noticed Samus had this new suit that was blue rather than, you know, being known for warmer colors, which we can definitely talk about that. Uh, but she had this blue suit, and that was kind of all I knew until we ended up getting that Metroid Prime 2 Echoes demo disc.
Yeah, that's where I also discovered Fusion.
Yeah, because it had like the Metroid timeline, not like the actual chronological timeline, because that doesn't make any sense. Um, which I may do a video on at some point. Uh, but just kind of like in the release order. Um, and so then I don't think I actually got my copy of Metroid Fusion until I was maybe like 13 or 14, something like that. And I ended up beating it my first time through in about 4 hours in one sitting. um, which we'll kind of go into what we're going to talk about. This is a very short game. Um, at this point, I think this might be the shortest Metroid game for me, at least.
Yeah, like I saw you beat it in like an hour, like 3 hours and 30 minutes,
Yep, yep,
and I beat it in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
mm-hmm, yep. And a lot of that was honestly, I was playing a little bit of it at work, and so like it was kind of me letting it run for a little bit while I was actually doing my work as well. So,
Mm.
um, um, but yeah, it's an incredibly short game. Technically speaking, I'd say that the first Metroid is shorter than this. Difference is like even with a map, you still gotta navigate the map in the original Metroid. In this game, you really don't even have to navigate the map. Uh,
Yeah, the,
game
the the layout is pretty linear.
game kind of navigates the map for you, actually. Which I want to go ahead and I want to talk to you about that. So a lot of people, I feel, dismiss this game because of how linear it is, how railroady it is. What's your opinion on that?
Well, if this was gonna be the status quo for Metroid from now on, I would definitely be against it. But as we know, it's not. like that. And as a sequel to Super Metroid, it actually is very much a breath of fresh air in comparison to like just doing Super Metroid again.
Yeah, because we talked about this last time. Super Metroid was kind of just doing the original Metroid again, in the sense that um, it's kind of
It's a requel.
a requel. Yeah. I just thought about this. Do you think this is kind of a requel to Metroid 2 in a way?
Uh no.
You don't think so?
The like it's a fun thing to think about, but the more you compare the two, the more different they are.
Yeah, it does
This
kind
is
of break down as you think
this
about it.
this is just more of a thematic sequel to Metroid 2, both with
Yeah.
linearity, the fact that all the areas are in very segmented sections.
But that's kind of the reason why I thought it was a requel. So you, so you're saying that what you're explaining makes it a requel, not
Yeah, because I'm thinking of the requel in the way Bruce Campbell described a requel,
okay.
which was basically uh summarize the original for people who haven't seen it, or the fat or who have, and then kind of do a brief, like a very fast version of it. It's not just a flashback; it's a fast version of what happens, and then we sprinkle in some new stuff in there, but also it's still canonically a sequel.
Okay,
It,
gotcha. Yeah,
like
no,
I would
I
I would consider another example of like a requel game. Uh, would probably be Metal Gear Solid, the original, or on the
yeah,
PlayStation, because that was
yeah,
just a requel of Metal Gear 2, and same reason that they did it, because nobody played Metal Gear 2. So
yeah. I could definitely see that. It's kind of like how this is one that I've always thought that was interesting. Mario's constantly doing requels
yeah,
because a lot of stuff is just a requel of Super Mario Brothers 3.
mm, more like maybe it's stretching it a bit. I don't know.
Um, okay, well, let's go ahead and if that's where we're at, go ahead and get us into the story. So where are we at as far as you know? Last we saw Samus. Uh, the last Metroid was in captivity. Now the last Metroid has is dead. So now Metroid at this point are extinct. Um, and Mother Brain is dead. Ridley is
Pretty much
dead.
all the space pirates are dead.
Yes.
Space
So
pirates
so
are pretty much gone.
yes. So where are we now?
So this takes place a a bit after Super Metroid. Samus is tasked to lead a excavation group to SR 388, the same planet that took place during Metroid 2, where she killed all the Metroids. And in that excavation, she encountered the X parasite. The X parasite infected her suit, and while she was flying her ship, she crashed into an asteroid field, and the Federation managed to save her, but they had to surgically remove parts of her suit because it was so infested by the X parasite, but still wasn't enough. So they injected her with a vaccine made of the cells of the baby Metroid. curing her.
Which fun thing that Samus says, she now owes the baby Metroid her life 2 times over.
Hmm. And this is like, and it also gives her uh, abilities that are similar of that of a Metroid. She's now more sensitive to cold, and she can absorb the X parasites themselves to regain like power and ammunition.
Yep.
Now, this is something that is a bit interesting that a lot of people don't know about. So, the reason why it worked that way, because let's be honest, if you took a vaccine, you're not going to be magically being able to like eat certain germs. You're not allowed to eat COVID and get and restore your health. It
Right.
doesn't work like that. Uh, but it's actually an ability of Samus's suit that was established since the original NES. In the original like Nintendo manual, they describe Samus's suit being able to absorb the powers of her enemies. Now, this is in reference to the actual health pickups within the game, but Metroid lore is pretty consistent, so it could be argued that with injecting the Metroid DNA while she had the suit on, also with like a lot of the protective stuff off, it kind of did just fuse her DNA with the Metroid DNA and made this suit more of an extension and made the power absorption extend even further to be more Metroid like.
hmm And and so now our mission, because what the X parasite that infected Samus has done is it is actually
Infested the research facility that that has been researching XR388 and also infected Samus's suit and is roaming around as a perfect copy of Samus from Super Metroid. It's
minus
known
the
as the
gravity
Mech.
suit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have my own like headcanon reasons for why she's not wearing the gravity suit, but
I would assume it's heavier.
no, I have my
No.
own reasons.
Okay.
My headcanon is that all gravity suits are calibrated for that specific planet. Because you never get a gravity suit in any Metroid games that have more than one planet. And that's why after every game where she has a gravity suit, she doesn't have it anymore. At most she has the Varia suit.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. Um, so yeah, now at this point, Samus is just kind of going around.
She's
Uh,
Now she also is being led by a robot, like a mechanical AI that's actually on her new ship, made by the Federation, of course. And it's kind of like her acting CO
which
for this mission, which
she
she
is
mentions reminds her of her old CO, Adam Malkovich. And she in her head named the AI after him.
yeah. So the AI is named Adam, which let's go ahead. I want now we brought up Adam. Now I want to talk about this. Um, and obviously for every Metroid Crusade, this is full spoilers. Um, so by the end, it turns out that um, uh, surprise,
The
surprise.
AI.
Well, surprise, surprise. The Federation has an evil sect that is kind of heading up this operation, um, and so the AI, programmed by this Illuminati sect of the Federation, betrays her. However, Samus, which very interestingly has more emotion here than And like I think that this Samus has more emotion than Dread.
I mean, yeah, like literally Galactic Federation as she knows that it's gonna die because of their own hubris.
Yeah.
I'd be
Um.
emotional too.
So, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just funny because people said that usually Samus is very stoic, especially whenever it comes to complaints of um when it comes to complaints of other M. Um
I would say she's a very pragmatic person.
yeah,
Like compassionate yet pragmatic.
yeah. Uh, so this is what I was getting at. She eventually, you know, she calls the AI Adam to the AI. Usually, whenever she's just thinking this, typing this out in her own journal, but she actually calls the AI Adam, and then you know the AI starts asking questions about Adam, and eventually, uh, I mean, it's such a cool thing because it's like, so you're saying that your superior officer made a self-sacrifice? Yes, and I'm about to do the same. He says, well, then he picked the wrong person because you don't have to do a self-sacrifice. Doing a self-sacrifice is stupid. Here's a better way to do it. Uh, and so the AI actually ends up helping Samus not only destroy uh, the station, but also launching the space station down into SR 388. So that way, SR 388 is destroyed forever. And so the X Parasite are no more. Uh, and they never came back.
Never did. Never ever.
Um,
Ever.
so here's my question: is the AI Adam's consciousness?
Is a
Like a
digital
like
replica of
a
Adam's
replica?
mind.
Yeah. Have they? So here's the thing. I thought I was being cute coming up with this theory. Have they confirmed that?
Yes. Well, they confirmed it in Metroid Fusion at the ending.
I did they?
Yes.
I thought it. Okay, gotcha. Like they came right out and said it. Did I
Yeah.
miss that?
Yeah. The Federation take the smartest minds of their like military and whatnot as the basis for their AIs.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I thought I was being special, but I was just. Here's my theory about what happened. I think Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
Nah. We can get into the history of the old Star Wars fandom later. Right now, we need to talk about Metroid.
So let's talk a little bit about music. I think. Okay, I'm gonna be very. I said this to you yesterday, and after I explained myself, you got what I was saying. I think this is a more complete game than Super Metroid.
Yeah,
And by that, I mean as far as the music, the atmosphere, the themes.
it's a very focused game.
Yes, yes, this game is very focused. Whenever it comes to Super Metroid is, it's kind of like you kind of got everything going on. This Super Metroid is like you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and you can get the appetizer platter. You get your chips and queso, you get your chicken fingers, you get your mozzarella sticks, you get this and that. Metroid Fusion is just the plate of mozzarella sticks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. We have a very specific purpose.
Yes. Not
I think that
necessarily. What's that?
I think that I think a general theme that you can get behind through both the game, both through gameplay, story, and music is the feeling of being trapped if that makes any sense.
Yes, and
Not
uh,
necessarily Dread, because that's the next game. That's the next game canonically.
well, I mean, here's the thing. That was the classic uh video by I can't remember what the YouTuber's name is, but he said how Metroid Fusion
Oh, I
exudes
know it. I
dread.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 12 years before Dread was even announced or something.
Well, no, because Dread.
When
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Dread. Dread was
yeah, I
known
know.
for like since 2005. I was 6 years old when I first heard about Metroid Dread.
Yeah, no, I I know that, and you know Metroid Prime, but like it's still interesting. Uh, like that because like it just how much of a sequel Dread is to Fusion, you
Oh,
know?
it's so hard.
Um,
Like, see, it's such a it's Scream sequel.
yeah.
I feel
Uh,
bad for people who started the Metroid series off with Dread, not because it's a bad game, because it just throws everything at you.
yeah.
This is a
Um,
series that really rewards you for playing it in chronological.
it it's
Oh yeah, starting
starting with
with Fusion, it's definitely that.
starting with Dread is like starting with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, or
Um,
starting with Dread is like starting at Endgame.
yeah. Um,
I think like we'll get into to some parts later. So with the music, it has a very claustrophobic feeling to it.
yes, and I
Like
think
even though it's really action focused, it still has that claustrophobia because it's very digital.
I think the limitations of the Game Boy Advance sound chip actually help with that.
You know, it's not even a limitation of the Game Boy Advance sound chip. It's actually no sound chip. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance has no sound chip. All like the sound uh and the hardware like are from the same chip, like the graphics hardware. So you
Okay.
have to make a choice between good music or good graphics.
Well, I mean, they kind of accomplished both in this one.
Oh yeah, especially
Uh,
for an early GBA game, because early GBA games were rough.
yeah.
If you
Um,
didn't know, early GBA games were super like bright neon ugly affairs because the original GBA didn't have a backlight and the screen was super dark. So in order to compensate, they had to make games super bright. This game managed to not have to do
yeah. Now let me ask you this, because I want to get into a little bit of gameplay as well. Um, how do you feel about how do you feel about the lack of tricks and sequence breaking?
that. To be honest, even if I had them, they really wouldn't have mattered that much. This game is so linear in its like map design that a lot of the sequence breaking, like all the sequence breaking tricks you could do, wouldn't really matter much. Like, oh, I'd saved like 2 minutes max. Like, it wouldn't
Yeah.
matter much.
Do you think that because we've talked about its linearity, but we also just talked about how focused this game is, and that's what makes it special.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think that the linearity um, is good? Because a lot of people, whenever they talk about the linearity, it is a complaint about this game. Do you?
For this game, no. Do you know why?
Why?
Because in this game, they take full advantage of the linearity. Because this game is hard as crap.
That's where we're gonna disagree.
Oh,
Yeah.
Caleb, I seen you play through this game. You were struggling on the Mega Metroid.
Oh, I was struggling on the last boss. Oh no.
Yeah, and I killed it on the first try. You took multiple tries.
Yeah, but I also saw you fight Ridley.
Well, yeah, that's because the Golden Chorizo uh,
Yeah.
stripped me of all my health.
That is the funniest thing. So I will say one thing is health is kind of um
Health is incredibly scarce in this game.
I don't energy tanks aren't necessarily scarce because you can definitely seek them out. But as far as recovering your health, when you're in the like there are the recovery rooms at the beginning of every sector, but they aren't like in the midst of the sector. So like as far as like getting your like recovering your health when you're in the middle of a sector, it can get a little scarce. um, and so right before you fight Ridley, they have you. It's very reminiscent to Super Metroid. Super Metroid, you go to Ridley's lair, you fight a golden Chorizo, and
Well,
so
these are gold. These are well, actually these are golden space pirates.
these are well, yeah, yeah. But you fight a golden space pirate, and it's a little difficult because they only take damage uh, from the back,
Behind.
and so after that you have a save station, and then you have Ridley. And there's really
And the
not
only health you get back is from the freaking door before Ridley.
yeah like the Chorizo doesn't even like give you that much health.
Mm-hmm.
um what what is your favorite boss in this game?
Ooh, that's a good question. Uh,
I mean, for me, it's definitely the Omega Ridley.
I think my favorite's actually Nightmare.
I do like Nightmare. I was confused about. You said that you had issues with Nightmare. I actually ended up having no issues with Nightmare.
I think it's because I initially tried to use missiles against them. Do not use missiles against them.
Oh
At
no, I
least,
mean,
at least in the first phase. Don't use missiles in the first phase. Use missiles in the second phase.
yeah, no. By the time, oh, like you were trying to shoot the missiles like at his crotch area, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. Um,
It's been a while since we both played through this game.
yeah. Now, as
There's another one I kind of liked was Yakuza.
which one was that?
That's a spider. I don't know why a spider is named after the Japanese crime mafia, but whatever.
Yes, yes. This is my pet lizard. His name is Triad. Um,
Series is okay. I like series.
yeah. You know which one I actually ended up having the most trouble with? Actually,
Which
like
one's
no
that?
lie. Um, the security drone.
Oh yeah.
The security
Which
drone
I
was
which
just
which, which I discovered while playing through it actually has a brain inside of it,
yeah,
similar to
yeah.
that of Mother Brain.
Um,
Which
yes.
I guess that's just how all AIs work in the Metroid universe.
Yeah. This one was a little different because last time I played this on like a small Nintendo DS screen. Um, This time I played it on a big 4K screen because of Nintendo Online, so there was a lot more to notice. Um, so yeah,
I'd
I
say in
I
the
am.
boss department, this game is definitely superior to Super.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like bosses are almost non-existent in Super.
Yeah. I think the most tense part about every boss fight is when they get into that the actual X Parasite mode, like she's like Samus is doing right here,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's always when I'm always like one tick of health left, like one
yeah. Like
shot.
you're having to play footsies with the boss.
hmm Especially if
Um,
they're a beam boss, like a boss that gives you a new beam.
yeah.
Because if you do that, then they'll shoot at you. So you gotta be careful.
Once again, I want to shout out Wave Beam Superiority.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
so good that they make it the last beam you get.
yeah, you get Plasma Beam before. It's really funny. But oh yeah, here's my question. How do you feel about no button no button speed booster?
Eh,
It feels weird.
yeah. I'll have to
Um,
get used to it for Zero Mission because I made it a point to myself that I'm gonna go 100% run for Zero Mission.
oh, because you want the secret stuff.
No, I just haven't done it.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't done Fusion either, but that game's so linear that I don't feel like doing that. And I also tried to do the secret sequence break that you do with the speed booster. And I couldn't do it.
Oh yeah.
The speed booster puzzles in this game are brutal.
Yes. Uh, that's
I
what
heard Fusion's also pretty brutal, but not as bad. But
Zero
still,
Mission.
yeah, Zero Mission.
Um, but yeah, well, that's 2 games from now. Um, so
Hey,
another.
what do you think? What do you think of the new movement in this game?
Oh, so
Because of her new suit, uh, she's now a lot more nimble,
yeah, she's got
tighter and more nimble than
she has the
she
grip.
was in Super.
Yeah, eventually we would know it as the power grip. Um, I am a big fan of it. Uh, which is where we can, latch on to um ledges and,
Ledges.
and pull ourselves up. I'm down with it. Um, as far as the wall jump,
Again, the wall jump was nerfed, but you don't really need the wall jump in this game.
I mean,
There's no
you do, but you don't need the single wall jump in this game.
like there's to be honest, there's no point in the game where I'm just like, oh, I wish I could wall climb this
Yeah.
because
Um,
the game is just not designed to be something like that.
yeah, this is definitely the most claustrophobic Metroid. And I think I would argue that this is going to be the most claustrophobic Metroid. Like it will never get this claustrophobic again.
I think the only thing that could even come close is Metroid 2, which again, this is kind of a sequel to, but
Yeah.
way better than Metroid 2.
Yes. Yes. Now
It
here's
has
my question.
it actually has a very similar like if you think about it, it actually does have a very similar structure because this is something I described to you, Caleb, about how the story and like the game structure is. This game is
Oh
very
yes.
episodic,
Yes. 100%.
where you do a thing for like a mission for like 10 minutes and then you do another mission. Very, and I think that's very similar to how Metroid 2 works because they're both made for handhelds. So
Yeah, this
they
is
don't
something
want you
that they want you to accomplish something on your lunch break.
exactly. So for Metroid 2, it is I killed a Metroid or got an item during my break. Well, this is like I unlocked the security door 4,
Yeah.
and now I can access all these areas. But I gotta make orange chicken.
Okay.
Now I gotta make orange chicken now, so I'll play it later.
Um. So there are times where I kind of wish that this game wasn't a handheld game, because there's so many lore implications that I think kind of lose their oomph because it's a handheld and there are limitations to actual storytelling.
Like what?
The fact that the Illuminati has cloned Ridley.
Well, that was a retcon. That was a retcon in Zero Mission because they kind of messed up in this game.
Oh, okay, explain.
So at the time, especially with how Ridley looks in this game, which is basically a one-to-one sprite recreation of Ridley from Super, it's sort of implied that the Galactic Federation got the corpse of Ridley and just stored him in the freezer. But in Super Metroid, not only do you blow him up completely, but you also, for good measure, blow up the planet that he's on.
Yeah.
So how the heck did the Galactic Federation get Ridley? And that's where Other M comes in to explain that they cloned him. And then that Ridley gets killed by the Queen Metroid, and now they stuck him in the freezer. They had to make a whole game to explain a plot inconsistency.
And
It's
then they
true.
and then they
It's
put in a bunch of other.
truly the Rogue One of video games. Other M is.
And then they introduced a lot more inconsistencies in Other M. Uh,
Yeah.
well, regardless of what it ends up being, uh,
The fact that they kept him in the freezer says a lot.
yeah, like regardless of what it ended up being, uh, like whether it's them cloning Ridley or they saved Ridley's corpse and put him in a freezer, now he's alive again. Uh, there are there. I mean, like that's a big thing for Samus, and we kind of don't talk about it. You know.
Yeah.
So there's some things that I kind of wish were.
Though, to be honest, what else can you say?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I kind of wish that there was more. We don't really get much on the Illuminati aspect of the Federation. We just know that they're coming.
Uh, well, that they exist.
Well, I mean, like they're the ones that are supposed to be showing up, right?
Yeah, but then the planet blew up, so I guess they got lost in transit.
Yeah.
Imagine them showing up at the coordinates, and they're just like, "Okay, where is everything?" The coordinate says it's right here, though. Jerry, Jerry, did you mess up the coordinates? We're right in the middle of nowhere. Of course, you messed up the coordinates.
um, one one thing that I was talking to you about, that I'll go ahead and bring it up now because it's really irrelevant as far as Dread is concerned at this point. But man, I do kind of wish that we got that Samus is a fugitive story.
Well, Adam also said it was just going to work out anyways at the end of Fusion,
Yeah.
and it worked out. So, moral of the story of the whole game: trust the Adam AI at all times.
Trust
Nothing,
AI.
no, no, nothing bad will happen if you trust the Adam AI. Nothing bad, just blindly.
Oh yeah. Um, okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let me ask you this: is this a better game than Super?
No,
Okay.
but this is a dang good continuation of Super.
It's definitely rough for me. I believe I wanted to put it above Super whenever we did our tier rankings at the beginning of this. I think I caved. Um, it's hard to say if I was wrong or not because, like I said, this is just this is a more complete game uh, than Super is as far as theming is and atmosphere. This one really does showcase isolation more. Um, all right, so before we wrap up, why don't you go ahead and tell the people why Save the Animals is canon?
Oh, yes. So, in this game, one, there's a mission where you have to save the animals once again because for some reason they're trapped in the BSL station and you let them out. They're apparently smart enough to not get infected by the X parasite. Actually, no. That's another thing I want to mention, but I'll tell that a little later. Uh, so as you notice at the very end of the game, the Samus's ship is gone, and Adam wouldn't been able to drive it automatically. The animals did that. So if you didn't save the animals, you would die. Okay, canonically you would die. By the way, one last thing, something I really love about the X parasite is their is how vain they are. Because the reason why the animals never got infected is because the X simply saw them as like emergency rations. They did not see them as a threat at all. They had no knowledge, no nothing. They see them as any use other than emergency food. And also, this is something that I think is a cool headcanon thing to see from that you get to see more in a future title is they seem to disregard empathy as like a weak trait, and that's always their downfall. So at the end of the game, you saw a X Paris like an SAX save Samus's life for some reason,
Hmm.
and people were always questioning why it did that. People thought it was because of selfish self-preservation, but if we saw from later titles, I think it's something else. The X is so vain that they disregard like uh like kindness and decency so much that the kindness and decency from the people to be infected will come back to bite them eventually. Like eventually the kindness and decency will take over the X parasite and kind of lead to their own downfall. And that's what I think happened with the SAX there is that the goodness from Samus uh, came out in a way to save herself. And you might think this is a far fetched theory now, but in a future title, that's going to become a lot more of a plausible theory. But we got a long ways to go to before that. So I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, there's really not much else to talk about without giving away another another
Another
title.
title.
Um, but yeah, be sure to join us next time for
Probably
I
my
want to
favorite game of the series,
I want to
Metroid
say
Prime.
yeah I want to say this was the second game that I finished in the series because it was Super
First
then
game I
Prime.
finished.
Yeah. So, yeah, join us next time for Metroid Prime. I've been Caleb,
I'm Junko.
and we'll catch you next time.